Roll call.
Krutik Bakta,
Present.
Georgina Ortega Angel, Matt Martinez,
Present.
Helen Strader.
Present.
All right, moving on to approval of agenda.
So move.
I second.
Everybody that approves, say aye.
Aye.
All right, any public input?
No.
Moving on to business items. And the approval of setting dates for contracts to receive. Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I found. So approval of setting a date for the Lodging Tax Board to receive an end of event of a report for applicants. So we had some of this discussion the last time. My suggestion is that we have a report on our first quarterly meeting after the said event. And that's what I would suggest. Discussion.
Sounds good to me. That's something that staff could track.
All right. I'll entertain a motion. Say just that.
So move.
Second.
All right, everybody. Oh, actually, we need to, it's business time, so we need roll call, right? Roll call?
Krutik Bakta,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Yes.
Helen Strader.
Yes.
All right, it's approved. Moving on to approval of Las Vegas CCHP Places with the Past and Heritage Week and Holiday Home Tour for $5,296.
Do we move that be approved?
Yeah, if there is no discussion on it, we can have it, or we can talk about it. I mean, what we would have to say in that approval, because we have our caps, what we'd say is that we'd recommend to council that they approve the additional amount over the 5K cap in our motion.
Well, let me do this first. Let me disclose that some of my business stuff is added to some of these quotes, although we don't do the final approval, we're recommending it to council for them to do so. So I'll disclose that I manage and run SDC Broadcasting.
Okay.
So with that, once I disclose that, I can still do motions and stuff like that.
You can be a part of the voting though.
I can,
No, because it directly benefits your
but I don't
business.
ultimately make the decision, the council does.
Yeah, but you still won't be able to be a part of it because you're.
Well, then you'll have to make sure you guys can cover it on your end. If it's something that's not covered by me, I can do that, right? Some of these are not.
Yeah, so if you don't benefit from them, so if it's not your business, you can approve them. You can be a part of that one. It's just the ones that they did get quotes from.
I think,
But you
Or
can't.
2 votes, do it.
yeah,
So I'm gonna cut Georgina now
If you
to
can't
make
vote.
sure.
not on all of them.
So
So that-
there are only 2 of us.
Would that still fit for,
Do you still have an attorney on staff?
They do. Leo's supposed to be here with him.
Because as far as actually what happens, and this goes back to the days that I was here before, once the disclosure is made, then I take off my business hat, then I get back to my lodger's tax hat. That's what allows me in the past to do stuff like this. But I had never heard that you can't.
I think
wanna
the
make sure
rules
that-
changed just because there is a lot of conflict of interest with it. So the AG, it's an AG.
Does Cassandra know about that? Let's
She's
ask
the one
her.
that told me to.
Oh, she's the one that did.
Yeah,
Oh.
she's the one that did say. So let me,
Well, if I don't vote, will we stay able to vote on these items?
on which ones? The ones that have you?
Yeah, or on the rest that don't?
The ones that don't have you, yes, you could
No,
vote on those.
but all of them altogether. The ones that have me, will they be able to still proceed?
We're trying to, that's why I'm gonna get Georgina now to tell her that to get on her
Oh.
Zoom link.
Because I want to help where I can.
because then we wouldn't have a quorum if he has to abstain?
I believe that's how it's gonna work.
I think that's almost all of them on the agenda, right?
No. I don't do the.
Except for the billboards and,
Billboard.
Hi Georgina, it's Montana. They sent you a Zoom link to your email to get onto it.
I can
Okay.
help with it.
You're welcome.
do you think Cassandra could just clear up? I mean, we do have the quorum to start, but do we need a quorum for the vote?
I could go get her real quick.
Yeah,
That'd be
maybe
good.
she could clarify.
Yeah.
Maybe there was instances in the past where council had to abstain and we ran into a situation.
Okay, let me go get her real quick.
Because there's a deadline to get this to council, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Theoretically, the largest tax board is supposed to have hoteliers on it, for example, and people. So theoretically, you might benefit from everything you do, but they want you to be on the board, and I see a conflict there that doesn't make sense. I could see where there could be a question if you only voted for your radio station to get advertising from
Yeah,
everything.
but
Or
we're
if
not.
you said, well, they all have to come
Well,
to my hotel, but that's not how it works.
it brings up a good point. It's two hoteliers on the board. I think the idea is the individual. So technically, say we're doing marketing, right? And if we did Shop Las Vegas, I mean, technically we're benefiting the shops in Las Vegas, but we're trying to market as a whole. So for him, it would benefit him individually instead of the market as a whole or the town as a whole. And that's where the difference is. The approval of the individual marketing for his radio station would be saying, I'm getting approval, I'm sitting on the board, people are gonna be staying at my hotel specifically, and I'm benefiting directly from that. So then there would be some issues of why another radio station or why a Plaza Hotel or someone would be like, well, how is this happening where he's able to authorize said things to stay only at his businesses? So it comes down to an individual conflict.
Like, Sandra?
You had a question for me?
Confused.
Would it be under conflict of interest? So if we're on approval items where on these items it's approving funding for marketing with Matt's radio station. So in those cases, he's declared it. He's wondering, since it's not part of council that we're part of a division, but whether this would be, once he's declared, whether he could vote on it or not.
So I believe it would be the same as with council. If you're benefiting in any way from the item that you're voting on, then you would have to abstain, even though you did state for the record that, if it's any beneficially to you, a gain, a financial gain, then you can't vote on it.
Okay, but ultimately, the council makes the decision. We're recommending, right?
Correct.
So my question is, if I don't vote on some of these items that might have my station's code in it, is there enough with both of them to pass today?
Right, that was the next question, is do we have quorum if he
That's the most
abstains?
important thing.
Because we're missing Georgina, so with the three of us, we have quorum to start the meeting, but if he abstains, we don't have quorum for the approval, disapproval.
But there's a majority there that do, 1 and 2, and I'd abstain.
Right, you can still vote, yeah, you could
Okay,
still
that's the
vote
question.
and you would abstain. And
Yeah.
it'll still pass if it's the two of you voting in favor.
That's what we want to clear up. Thank you. That's the question.
We won't have anybody to break a tie, so that gets into a tricky situation, whether we need that or not, or it would just sit.
Well, let's
Okay,
cross that bridge when
we'll-
we get there.
I said as we go. But yeah, that answered to, were we gonna have, legal come in at all? No, he's gonna be, okay. All right, those are our questions.
I'll be available if you have any other questions.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so for on the said ones, we'll just abstain, but I don't, as far as action, but as far as discussion, I don't think that keeps us from discussion, it's just vote from voting, right? So I think we should still be able to discuss before we approve. Okay, so then I will have to, second, so, I'll make a motion to approve, with the recommendation to approve the additional amount of 296 over the 5K cap.
I don't know where is that?
We're at number 2.
That's CCHP.
Yeah, that's the one he's doing, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
That's what we're on.
so you want it to be more than 5296?
No, so we have, so just for things that the board has set 5K caps on events.
Oh, 5,000.
5,000. And so, but we can, if it goes over the 5,000 amount, we can recommend to council
Okay.
that we recommend they spend that amount. So there was about 296 when they went for things that went over. So if we feel that's a good recommendation, we could
So
send that
you
out to council.
moved that.
So I
we-
move to make the approval with the making the recommendations up to council ultimately to spend the 296 over the cap.
I'll second it.
All right. Roll call?
Rutik Bakta,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Abstain?
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Helen Strader.
Yes.
All right, motion's approved. Okay, moving on to approval of Bridge Vegas LLC mobile guide app in the amount of 2295. Did we get any further feedback as far as the, I guess the request for it be a city license or go back to an entity like CCHP or so on that's a nonprofit? Was there any updates from there?
I know you had a question about the licensure.
Uh-huh.
We got the licensure directly from the platform. So we did the licensure for the platform. And we used to pay that directly out of our general fund for the platform. And it was over $2,000. We had recommended it that it was, we were gonna put it on a website and get away from the platform, but that's why we are no longer using that function.
Okay.
But it's something that platform you have to do a licensure for the platform.
Okay. But CCHP is nonprofit, correct?
We were nonprofit at the time, but we're no longer associated with this particular platform.
Okay, okay. So that's where it starts off a discussion of where it becomes an issue for me is that, and we missed in I'm sorry, and I missed in the discussion last week, is that this is an LLC. And so while we're at it, I think there's a conflict there of we're purchasing a license to benefit the individual business. And I think that's setting the precedent for that is gonna be difficult to do, and I don't think that's what this board would do. If it was still with CCHP as a nonprofit, or if it was, again, my push would it to be that the city licenses it and that any entity within town could come up with a tour and post a tour on there, that becomes a public asset for us, and that's and circling around tourism and something we could support. So I'm having trouble purchasing an item using public lodgers tax funds for an individual entity to be licensed to. So that's my issue with the approval on this item. And I haven't had any updates as far as my hope was that we could find another way to fund it or another entity that would do it, whether it be the city or another entity. But if it's a purchase for the individual, I don't think it'd be the best use for our lodgers tax funds or so on.
So I'll move to disapprove or reject.
I'll second.
All right. Roll call?
Rutik Bakta,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Yes.
Helen Strader.
Yes.
Georgina got into the meeting too, so she logged into the meeting.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we got that problem
Ju-
resolved.
Yeah, we're done.
So we're moving on to item number 4. Approval of Las Vegas NM JC's number 11 trolley in the amount of 5,000. So I really had to think about this one and I racked my brain on it, but we run into the same situation for it, and I really tried to. So we are paying for marketing, but it's marketing that's benefiting one entity, which is the LLC. And so that's the tough time I had to get around, and ultimately it would make me hard to to send to the council because I wouldn't be able to explain that just yet. Again, it's for the benefit of one private entity, the LLC, and not as a whole. Now, having a trolley as a whole would be a benefit to the town, but that said individual, all the marketing is revolving about marketing rides for that trolley. I could see on different campaigns if we move this around fiestas or so on, and we figure out with the city how this best trolley could be used, but I just have huge conflicts, and I think as far as procurement and finance, they would need to help. But in my history of being on the board, much as chair, I don't remember a time approving marketing that benefited solely one entity. Because I think it said president, I mean, it opens the doors. That would leave, I mean, individual entities throughout the city can come forth and start asking for marketing monies to market their individual business. And those are tourist interests. So if Charlie's or if any one of the restaurants and so on wants to come in and individually market something for their restaurant, that would set precedents. I think that'd be chaotic for us. I do know that when we've reached out to the state has provided some feedback to proceed with caution on this matter. It's a sticky issue. So I say for our board, if we don't have a clear understanding of whether this is a good practice or not, then I don't think that's something that we can provide as recommendation to the board. Now, if some of this stuff gets cleared up, where there's again a lot more clarity on it, it's a campaign that benefits the entire town, then that would work. It's a shame because we wanted a trolley for a long time. My hope is that it was something that the city can do inherent, and so some of these things wouldn't be so hard, where we could advertise and it would be for the benefit of the town. The rides would be for the benefit of the town, and we wouldn't run into some of these issues. Go ahead, Matt.
Mr. Chair, I thought they said they were gonna do a nonprofit. They were gonna submit it under a nonprofit. They mentioned two names, I thought. I can't remember.
It's the JC, so that's the nonprofit, but it's still runs into the same situation because they did present it as a private entity. Even if they go under the nonprofit, it's still solely benefiting their business. That's kind of where it's another sticky situation also. It's because, I mean, it's still benefiting the one business.
Could we give them a loan?
And it's so it's not no, because it's an individual. So for events, right? So I mean, and that's why I was trying to wrap it. I was like, could this be event? Well, I mean, it's the trolley. So it's the rides per trolley, and all the advertisements on is going for the trolley. So we haven't tied it to a set event that benefits the entire public. It's really a stretch. The biggest problem here is that we're just basically giving an individual vendor out. So we were talking about hotels. If I wanted to market my Days Inn, I could be asking tomorrow. I could say, hey, I'm holding a tourist event in my lobby. I want to market the Days Inn for people to stay, or a restaurant or so on. So we need to stick to the broader scope of it. I think what ultimately we would recommend to council is, if there's some vagueness in this, we can clarify it. We could put it in our ordinance, and we can say, look, this is what the spirit of the of lodger's tax use was for, and this is what we've always done. Now, if we need to get down to codifying it and talking about it, but in any of the past 4 approvals, I have not seen a section where and it's come up, where a band wanted to market, and there was discussions there whether we could pay for a individual band or not, and so on. I know state has best use practices for example, for a reader board sign, we're not supposed to, with the agreement that we had for the land that's on that reader board, our agreement was that we wouldn't advertise private entities on that board. It was for public use. Um, so that's where we stand there. I don't think this would be a clear recommendation to council. At the end of the day, I think suggestions need to be made to council that we clarify some of these vague things. I think what we can do as a board is make sure to put it on the application. I know that came in, that question came in last week, and so we could clarify on our own applications. So going forward, we can put down that verbiage that this is what we need to see. It can't be for the benefit of an individual entity.
Mr. Chair, if they were to identify event, then it might qualify.
It could, to me, I mean, it would be better use of it as long as it established that it's a benefit of the whole,
Yeah. But like say
right?
it's
But
for the
if
4th of
it's
July
still for a
fiesta.
singular, yeah. Because then it turns into a contracting situation, and then maybe we figure out other funds. So what I would say is that other funds would be used to, and we could say as part of fiestas or part of a group. It's paid for as part of that broad marketing. The trolley could be put forth, but in that way, I mean, maybe there's a contract out there, so there's definitely issues in there. I think that we should discover. To me, it's not clear enough to send to council. I think it's something that we should continue to discuss. But as far as best practices is concerned, we haven't approved individual entities to, again, from feedback that we've received from state, it's proceed with caution. So yeah, on technical basis, we could start approving stuff, but is that the best practice and where are we headed there? That's something that as an advisory board, we should be advising council as well. And so to me, my advice is we can't recommend this because of the issue of the individual entity benefiting. Now, if the structure of it changes and we figure out another way that makes it clean for Lodgers Tax to fund, then that's something we could cleanly recommend to council. But at this point, that clarity is not there.
Just have a question, just for clarification for this organization. If they were to do, for example, the fiestas at no cost to the public, and they were gonna do that to support the fiestas, would that be something that they could bring for marketing that event?
Well, we'd be marketing the fiestas, and one of the things would be the asset. So that those are some of the scenarios that we can look at. But I think that's probably more of the spirit, and we figure out with a broader contract that this is what we would do. But some of these things, look, I think we're gonna have to continue to have clarification as with finance or procurement on how we're doing it, and if there's if there is any vague or hazy areas, then what I want to do with council is let's clean it up. Let's make it clear so it benefits the public if it's hazy, because what we're using, and some of these things are in different municipalities, different throughout the state. And a lot of it is to clear up some of these issues, but it's for best practice. So if we need to clean up some areas that aren't clean, like I said, right away with our application process, within the ordinance of, hey, let's make it clear that this is what the guidelines are, then we'll clear up those gray areas. Okay. So I believe, so if we don't have I don't think there needs to, because it just, we just have approval, so we don't necessarily need a motion for disapproval, right?
You could do a disapproval or you could do a table if you guys want to table it. It's your guys' choice of how you're gonna proceed with it.
Okay.
I move that we table the approval of the trolley until we've had more time to examine it.
Okay. right, I'll second it. Roll call.
Kutik Bakta,
Yes.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Abstain?
Ellen Strader.
Yes.
All right, moving on to approval of Hispano Chamber of Commerce Welcome Home Veterans Event in the amount of 4,118. I think the lone question we had on this one was, were we waiting on any bids, or was it nonprofit status or status of our business
So-
license, or?
The only thing we have to do, he said he was registered within the state that as a nonprofit. With the city, he wasn't. As far as I'm aware, he hasn't come in with to get his business license as a nonprofit. The quotes, that's the amount for the quotes that he did get. That's the exact amount for the quotes.
Okay.
The only thing is whether or not it's a legitimate nonprofit, and I think that's kind of the only question we have.
Okay, but so he does have a certificate somewhere?
We don't know if he has a certificate. I haven't gotten a copy of a certificate that he's a registered nonprofit with the state.
Okay.
But you guys can request that if you guys choose to approve.
Right, are those entities usually, they're usually nonprofit, right?
They're usually nonprofit.
Okay, so I'm gonna stick with that, and they usually are, so we can say that we can make an approval as long as he brings in the things we need to do to, and is that part of procurement too, that we're gonna need that?
It's usually, yeah, we have to have if they're gonna submit for invoices, they have to have a business license if they're trying to get money from the
Trying to get
state.
money, okay, alright.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Georgina.
I believe at the last meeting that we had, he indicated that he would bring that paperwork in to qualify. So as it stands, he does not have the paper to qualify for the nonprofit status to verify that he was registered. Is that correct, Montana?
Correct.
Okay.
So, there's two ways of it. We can stick to that hard, or we can if there's no other issues, and we're up to approving, then we can approve with the caveat that he brings that business license. To me, even if it gets through council, ultimately he wouldn't be able to get the funds until he produces it. So this is at the city end of taking care of this business, right? I'm gonna go ahead and go with faith is usually Chamber of Commerce is our nonprofit, but at some point he's gonna have to produce that, or else he's not gonna be able to get funded, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I think we could do an approval with the caveat that he brings the business license in.
Clarification is
Uh-huh.
that we approve it, but funds would not be released until that paperwork verification has been verified, correct?
Right, and even before he gets any money, Montana cleared up that they wouldn't be able to provide any funding until he would produce that.
Thank you.
And then Matt, this was the radio station as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll motion to approve with the caveat that he brings in the business license for the amount of 4,118.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call.
Kutik Bakta,
Yes.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Abstain?
Ellen Strader.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to approval of Las Vegas First IBA southbound I-25 billboards in the amount of 14,821. I've got a question. Okay, just to be really clear, and I want to clear up. So the 14,820 on the I-25 billboards, those are for the 14,821. That's Lamar.
That's the private billboard.
The private, okay.
And the private billboard is stored later.
So the second, so for the 18, that's Lamar.
Yes.
Okay, and then for the 15, that's the I-40 entity there. Okay. So for the first one, for the 14-821, council had rejected the last go around?
No, it was never on the agenda.
It was never on the agenda. Okay, so it didn't get approved because it was on the agenda.
The billboard disapproved.
Okay, and so these are the private,
Yeah, we've had it for 12 years.
okay,
Approved every year except last year and never got on the agenda.
it fell through on the agenda. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think we only had one question about the artwork. John, will they do the artwork, or is there a theme, or are they approving something? I thought I heard something at the last meeting.
We usually, sometimes the city submits an artwork idea, sometimes Las Vegas First does at no cost to the city. And then what Lamar does is it takes our ideas and then pretties them up.
Is there a way that you can provide the examples to council?
Sure.
Go ahead.
If I may, I did communicate with Lamar on a different topic, and this conversation came up, and they said they have graphic designers that can do it for free for us, as long as we give them all the.
Right. All the business I've done with Lamar, they've done the graphic work for me. So, yeah.
I'm looking at her email right now, actually, and she said, just send me all the data, we'll put together some renderings with our graphic design and we'll free of charge.
Okay. So if that's one caveat, so what we can say on these approvals is that we can and I think that some of the councils has had questions on the content, right? So if council wants to make sure that we don't have enough time to see it, but if we could get it done by council's time, what we could recommend to council is that they approve we recommend with the approval of the artwork, if that's the concern. I think the approval of the artwork was just the concerns that were voiced to me as does it represent the town as a whole, and that was the gist of it. But
Always has final approval of whether the artwork is.
yeah. Which brings up actually, which was a good point, and I had notes on it. I didn't read it. I think we're missing out. I believe it's still code that we're supposed to say that this is funded by the City of Las Vegas lodgers tax. I keep forgetting, and I want to keep repeating it. Everyone is everything that we're doing, everything that we've approved here. The message needs to be this is approved by the City of Las Vegas lodgers tax. So if we can try within that the artwork as well. Somewhere in there it needs to say that for the radio station ad buys. We need to make sure that that's in that statement right at the end that this advertisement was funded by the City of Las Vegas lodgers tax.
For a visual, is the city logo sufficient?
If that's something we've done in the past, but I would clear it up. What I've seen for sure, because the city of logo doesn't mean lodgers tax, and I think that's where we went wrong there. And so for what I've read, it needs to say that this was paid for by lodgers tax. The city logo, that might give the appearance that the city paid for the advertisement. We need to make it clear to the public, and I want to repeat as many times as I remember, that this message needs to be there in whatever the marketing that we do. It needs to be before that this was paid by lodgers tax. And I think that provides some clarity to the public as well as where some of these things are coming from and how lodgers tax works. Yeah. Right.
It'll be that real fine print because that's a long text at 75 miles an hour.
The billboards, it's definitely tough, but it popped into my head that we need to have that in our.
We have it in our ads too.
Yeah.
Well, I move for approval of the 14-821, item number 6, with that caveat.
Okay, with the caveat that final approval of.
To the city council and then.
Of artwork is.
And then also the lodgers tax be included in the final rendering.
Okay,
I second.
all right, roll call,
Frutik Bakta,
yes?
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Yes.
Helen Strader.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to more billboards.
So move on item number 7, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry,
So move. 18,132.48
on the second one, all right,
on the I-25 billboards.
okay. I'll entertain a second.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call,
Frutik Bakta,
yes?
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes,
Matt Martinez,
Yes.
Helen Strader.
Yes.
All right, and now we're moving on to item number 8, and this is Las Vegas First I-40 billboards. The amount of $15,993.48.
So move again.
Second.
All right, roll call,
Frutik Bakta,
yes?
Georgina Ortega Angel,
yes,
Matt Martinez,
Yes.
Helen Strader.
Yes.
All right. Okay, moving on to approval of Las Vegas Arts Council Summer Show in the amount of $10,000.
I have a comment on that.
Go ahead, Georgina.
There was a discussion about our limit on the 5,000, and this is 10,000. What were our exceptions?
That's something that we'd have to discuss right now. In the approval, we'd make our recommendation if we'd like to spend over that amount and why.
So it should be the summer art show and the crafts fair.
So I think
So
that
there's
was,
2, yeah.
so I think that justification was because it was 2 events, so we're saying it's 5,000 per event. Did that clarify?
Okay, so it's 5,000 per event.
Mm-hmm. So within that summer show, there was 2 separate events, and so that's how they presented.
Mr. Chair, through Montana, it was 13,368, but they modified it to 10.
Yeah, so if you look on the last week, when you guys had the meeting, they submitted a sheet and it says, let me find it actually. So it says that they scaled back the lodger's tax proposal to meet the $10,000 limit, which $5,000 per event. I know what I saw on it is the quotes. The quotes that they gave us, one of them was for a journal and the other one was for another advertising one. But within that, it's the enterprise ones that they submitted, it says that they're gonna use the Albuquerque Journal. So I saw that they got a quote from the journal plus another quote they got, we're gonna use the journal also. And they're 2 different amounts, so that's what I need to clarify too, because if you guys approve it, contracts,
So there's a duplicate.
there is a duplicate, so I know there is
right,
clarification that I kind of wanted on it. If they're only gonna use the journal one time, or is it gonna be the journal for both, and what amounts go to what event? That's what I don't know.
Is that something you can clarify?
I can try, and then of course you can make it more specific in the contract. I didn't write this, usually I wrote them, so I know all the answers, but this time that's not the case. Pasatiempo is the Santa Fe New Mexican, and Venue Plus is the Albuquerque Journal.
Okay.
And those are 2 different newspapers. And we have 2848 for the Pasatiempo, which is the New Mexican, and 4848 for the Venue Plus Albuquerque Journal. And it's per week, but it can be varied between the 2 shows, between the People's Fair and the gallery. I think that the board understands the difference.
So, I mean, it's advised, but they should be clear that, I mean, if it shouldn't be a duplicate amount, it's advertising for, because we're looking at it as 2 different shows anyways, right? Or 2.
We're looking at it at 2 different shows, so even when they submit invoices, that's gonna be another issue is, okay, well, does this invoice goes to the crap, because it's gonna be 2 separate contracts. It's not gonna be one contract, it's gonna be 2 separate. So when they submit invoices, it's gonna have to specify, okay, well, $3,000 went to advertise on the Journal for the crafts fair. And the remainder amount went to the summer art show. That's what we need the clarification. We need to know the exact amounts to go to which event, because when they invoice us, we have to make sure that the correct amounts go based off the contract and of course procurement and requisitions, all of that.
Right, so you're not double paying
same
Albuquerque Journal for the same event, but that
Correct.
seems to be more of the contractual issue, right? And probably not a clerical error as far as we put it in there twice. It seems like we're paying for two different time periods. Okay.
Chair,
Go ahead.
I move that we approve it and that the two events are invoiced separately and that it reflect that in the contract.
Okay, I'll entertain a second.
I'll second.
That cover it, Montana?
All right, roll call?
Rutik Bakta,
Yes.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Yes.
Ellen Strader.
Yes.
All right, moving on to Provo City, Las Vegas Music in the Park Spring Series in the amount of $19,890.65. And is there Chuck or anyone else? Is that you?
That would be me since Chuck's not
Since
here.
Chuck's at the other building? Telling you, you move his office here, you'd see him more. The only comment I have on this is that for us, the difference between us and this, look, these are bigger amounts, but I think what mayor and council, I think this is, what they would be looking at, that this is something that we want to ignite the return of Las Vegas with, and they've chosen this way. There's a lot of enthusiasm for these type of events and continued events going forward to promote Las Vegas as a whole. My ultimate recommendations in the future is we expand into different things, so it's music and art and tours and so on. But my hope is that is encompassed into an all-out campaign. So to me, this push to use their LASDAX funds, I mean, we're considering this as a big campaign, and this is how I'm seeing it, to relaunch Las Vegas. We're out of the fires and the floods, Nashes, and so on. And so I think this is an overall campaign to market Las Vegas. So if they're coming here for all these things, they're going to come visit our museums, they're going to come eat at our restaurants, they're going to come shop. So I think there's justification there for the greater use. And again, it's ultimately up to council, and this seems to be a big push for them of, we want this to lead into fiestas and have a huge resurgence in our activity there. So that's the only comment that I have. I just wanted to make that distinction, is that yes, these are greater amounts that we're recommending above and beyond the others, and I think council is well aware of that as well. But these are all initiatives that are backed by the city with city personnel. Any other discussion?
So just to let you guys know too, so if you guys don't want me to make the recommendation for the complete 19,000, when we discussed at the last meeting about the three, so we could use KNMX, because they'll hit, the radio station will hit majority of the state, the Albuquerque Journal will hit majority of the state, and then KRQE 13 will hit the entire state except for Las Cruces. If you guys just take those three into consideration, and that amount goes to
Well, that was the big,
11,000.
right,
It
that was the
drops
big,
down
when you
to
guys made the
11,000.
recommendations, they were compelling points about the number of people we got to and so on. When we had the discussion, my only issues is let's pick some points that are just like how we asked for everyone else, is how do we get the count? So when Chuck was here, I was like, look, we're really pushing, this is, as far as large tax monies, yeah, we're putting a great amount of effort here. Let's make sure that we can count in the advertisements, let's get metrics back. And let's make sure if this is something we wanna be doing annually, we need to be explaining the numbers and so on. Cause combined, this is a campaign, we're shooting $100,000 combined at music in the park flowing into to fiestas. So this is a good amount of money being spent, but for us to be being accountable, we need to point out that this is an initiative that we're taking on, and then we'll also be responsible. I think the right mix is there as far as what we've hit. I mean, we're able to use the quantities to hit TV and so on. Again, to go back to the beginning of that, my only issues would be, let's make sure it's all encompassing in the music of it all. Yes, it's covering the town, but my hope is that we're able to cover all the other entities, the town, art and so on. I'll leave it up
I have
to,
a question also. It's airtime that the commercial or whenever we're gonna be on air, it will disperse within the proper time limits. So we grab the most amount of people and that they're not back to back, or they're not like at 3 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. I want to be able to see them at the best time for our money, okay? So I hope when they make this discussion with the TV stations, I don't want to see at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, all of our commercials at 5:30 in the morning or at 11:30 at night when they sign off. I would like to make sure that they are at some reasonable hour where we will catch people.
Yeah, so they do play it at different times because
Right.
they are KRQE 13, especially that one. That's the one that will hit majority of them because they are associated with Fox News, all the different radio stations, the TV stations that they have. So whatever that is on, whatever times they play, they will
Right.
run commercials at those times too.
they're connecting viewership with the cost, right?
Yes.
So they're saying there's this many viewers at this time and this is what we're agreeing to.
Yeah, and they break it down. So like on the quotes that you guys got with your packets last week, they broke it down between what stage, what channel
Yeah.
that they're playing in, the cost per 1,000 households.
Okay.
All right, I just don't want us to be showing at 11 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, those kind of things, and where they're back to back, where you show one commercial, two commercials, and I've seen those happen.
Mr. Manager, you had
Yes,
comments?
sir. Anytime we solicit advertising buys, whether it be TV or radio, we always ask for prime time hours. Whether it be between 5 and 6 o'clock news, when they have the viewership is the highest, and that's always our target.
Right, yeah. That's what I figured. For the viewership they're promising you, and the numbers that you saw, that you think that's when the viewers would be watching, and that's what we're paying for, else we'd be paying less if it's at a time where there's a lot less viewers, so. Those packages look good, and again, I think it's representative of for the push for the town. In the future, I hope, again, this campaign is all encompassing, but, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, from my perspective as a marketer myself, the fact that we're doing like these 3 seasons, including the fiestas, that's good penetration through the whole summer, spring, summer, and fall. And pretty much what you want in a marketing campaign is at least 3 months of consistency. And by the time the 4th and 5th month and 6th month roll around, people already somewhat have it in their mind. So you almost have to continue to be repetitive.
Oh, absolutely,
So
yeah.
I think this is.
Roll into this
is
as
good.
a,
This is good. Letting people know we're open, that we didn't burn, we're still here. This is good.
the continuous marketing year round, whatever we can do, Mr. Sisley, is a good thing. My hopes is that this rolls into the BOD campaign of Las Vegas. So yes, this is hitting for all of Las Vegas music. I want to hit it for all entities in Las Vegas, whether again it's whether it's the arts, whether it's the museums, whether every asset that we have for town, we want to have a continuous marketing message year round. This is a good start.
Yes.
But my hope is this flows into, let's say, the overall campaign that we have, whatever we're doing with Sunny 505, and then we all coordinate. And so this turns into something more. Maybe it turns into music and art in the park.
Yeah.
That just grows the event. But I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the three amounts of $19,890.65 for 6 months. Is it 6 months?
3 seasons.
3 seasons for Las Vegas Music in the Park.
Okay, so yeah, so we're making a motion to approve items 10, 11, and 12
Right.
at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I second, or I'll entertain a second. All right, I second. Roll call.
Kutik Bakta,
Yes.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Abstain?
Helen Strader.
Yes.
Okay, approval of the City of Las Vegas 4th of July fiestas in the amount of $40,000. I think this is, we had discussion before, we've given this amount every year for the promotion of fiestas. Some of this concerns maybe the duplicative efforts, but this is more focused on fiestas, and it goes with the same theme of saying Las Vegas is back. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the $40,000 for the City of Las Vegas Fiestas.
All right, I'll second. Roll call.
Kutik Bakta,
Yes.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes.
Matt Martinez,
Abstain?
Helen Strader.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
I
moved.
make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, everybody that agrees, say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.
We did it.
We did it by 3 o'clock.
Thank you, Georgina. I hear her somewhere, but I can't see her.